Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love that we have people from all over the world joining. This is going to be so fun together. Welcome everyone to Ascend How to Be an Influential Leader workshop. I am so excited to dive in with you. Before we dive in, I have 3 questions for you. And if the answer to any of these questions is a yes, then throw a yes in the chat. And remember, please change your settings right now to everyone so everyone can see what you're sharing with us. So throw a yes in the chat if you have ever failed to convince your team to support your recommendation. So you went to your team and you're like, here's what I think we should do. And they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. Throw a yes in the chat if that's happened to you. Yes, yes. Okay, I see a lot of yeses. That's definitely happened to me. I've had that blow up many times. Throw a yes in the chat if you're not sure how to get buy-in from stakeholders. You're not sure how to position your idea to get a buy-in from a manager, how to present an idea that gets attention with senior stakeholders or your cross-functional partners. Put a yes in the chat if that's you. That's something I definitely struggled with. Yeah, lots of yeses. And finally, put a yes in the chat if you want your ideas taken seriously. You want people to come and seek out your input. You want them to be excited to hear what you have to say. Yes, yes, 100%. Exclamation marks. Yes, definitely. Amazing. Awesome. Great. Well, I struggle with all of these things. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. Hi, everyone. I'm Shivani. I am the CEO and founder of Ascend, where we offer Ascend's leadership program for women. What inspired me to start Ascend was I used to be in your shoes. As I was moving up into management, I learned how to get buy-in, rally stakeholders, empower my teams, and advocate for myself, all by making a ton of mistakes. Some guidance are probably just a lot of blowups. I vividly remember one time when I was going to get buy-in from my team. We were meeting to align on what product features should we prioritize in our upcoming roadmap. I walked in that meeting feeling really confident about what I was going to pitch. I thought it was a great idea. It was obvious why this was the best thing we should prioritize. I walked in the meeting, sat down, shared my screen, and started sharing my idea. Very quickly, I was met with a lot of annoyed looks, some really confused faces. I got peppered with a ton of questions. Why should we do this idea over this other feature? How does this even help us achieve our goals? Yikes. That meeting did not go well. I walked out of the meeting feeling like I had failed. I had lost the trust of my team. They felt I hadn't respected their expertise. They felt like I wasn't really valuing what they had to bring to the table. I was so confused. I had done my research. I knew this was a good idea. So why did my team feel like I was just telling them what to do? I was ignoring what their input was. I thought it was obvious why this was a great idea. After a lot of reflection and feedback, I realized that I actually hadn't spent the time to get my team invested in my thought process, to walk them through about how I had reached this conclusion about why this was our best approach. When I learned how to get buy-in, when I learned how to lead my teams, I felt so much more confident. I was able to move up more quickly in my career and impact not only my teams, but also executives and our company's board of directors. These experiences, combined with the time I spent studying at Harvard Business School, inspired me to create Ascend. Our mission is to elevate 10,000 women into leadership. It's a big way we're going to see the change that we need to see in today's workplaces. And I realized we currently don't learn these critical skills that we need to know in order to move up in our careers. We don't learn how to lead and influence. We all know that we should speak up, that we should push back against difficult stakeholders, that we should get people invested in our ideas, but we don't. We don't do it because either 1, we don't carve out the time, 2, we don't know how to get started, or 3, we're scared. Because practicing these skills at work is high stakes. If you make a mistake, it can hurt your reputation or worse. That's why I created Ascend's leadership program, to create a safe space for women like you to push yourself out of your comfort zone, to build lasting habits around these critical leadership skills, and do it while you get to learn with a bunch of awesome women. And we're doing it. We've had women from Slack, Twilio, Peloton, DoorDash, and a ton of other companies come out of the program feeling more confident, achieving their goals. For example, Diana from SAP joined the program right when she returned from maternity leave after having her first child. She used the program tools to help her drive better alignment in meetings. Her performance improved so much that she got promoted soon after the program and credited the program in helping her do so. I shared Diana's story with you to highlight how important it is to know how to influence. And having the skill can be a game changer in your career. Today, we're going to talk about specific strategies that you can use to influence. I'm going to go through specific strategies and also share with you real life case studies, including we're going to have two of our alumni mentors, two alums from Ascend joining us, Brittany and Karina, who are going to say hi to you right now, to join, who will share how they've applied the program learnings to their own work. We're then going to go through, and share, dive into any questions and take any to help you apply this. I want this to be a really fun experience for you. So if anything resonates with you, throw it into the chat. And as you have questions, please add them to the bottom right icon on your Zoom screen, the Q&A button. And you can add in upload questions throughout the conversation, and then we'll dive into those towards the end of today's session. So as we get started, I want to put in the chat, why do you think some people ascend in their careers while others don't? Why do you think some people move up faster? Some people get promoted faster while others don't? Put that in the chat. Is it right place, right time? Maybe it's connections, knowing the right people, having the skills. Why do you think some people ascend in their careers while others don't? Self-confidence, better social skills, connections. Speaking up, influencing, yes, yes, yes. Communication, yes. And you know, while all of these can be true, the #1 factor for why leaders are at the top is because they are skilled at influencing. They know how to bring people along in their ideas. If you think about it, that makes sense. As a manager, you don't actually do the work yourself. You guide your teams to do the work. It's like a conductor at a symphony. She doesn't play the music herself. She guides the musicians to play beautiful music. So if you want to get to the top like others, then you need to do what they do. You need to know how to get people to follow you. You need to know how to get people excited about your idea to support you. I learned that the hard way. This is my team and I 3 months after that blow up I shared with you. We are here celebrating a successful product launch. I guarantee you, 3 months before this, we would not be hanging out after work. We would not be smiling together because we were in such a bad shape. It was only when I learned how to get buy-in. It was only when I learned really how to lead them, get their input, collaborate together, that our team thrived. We enjoyed working together. Our product was so much more successful than it had been before, and we were able to hit our goals. My reputation grew stronger once I learned how to influence. And that's why I really want to talk about this topic, because it's so important, but we don't talk about how to do it. Because the thing is, we often just think great ideas are enough. I thought that. I thought I had a great recommendation going into that meeting. I was like, that's going to be great. It's me, it's going to go smooth. They're going to support it. The thing is, great ideas aren't enough. You have to convince people why they should follow you. And I hear this all the time. They're like, yeah, I hear this in Ascend. I hear this from others. Like, yeah, but my idea is so good. I don't get why they just don't follow. Think about it this way. The company you work for has a great product, yet they spend a lot of resources to invest in a marketing department, in the sales department, which convinces potential customers about how they will benefit from the product. Apple has amazing products. You're probably using one or more of Apple's products right now. Yet Apple spends over $2 billion in marketing. If Apple has to market its products, you have to market your ideas. This is not a, if I build it, they will come. No, it's not if I have a great idea, people will follow. No, you have to break it down for people. Why should they care about your ideas? Why should they follow you? Around this time, I often hear, yeah, but there's a secret language. It feels like people just know what to do. Some people are just naturally good at influencing. The good news is, I want to tell you now, there is no secret language. Anyone can learn how to do it. There is a strategic formula that you can follow to help you influence. Step by step, follow it and you will master it. And anyone can learn it, even introverts. It doesn't have to feel political. It doesn't have to feel icky. It actually is very natural, very organic. And that's when you're most successful. Think about it like this. To help you learn it, it's like when you learn how to bake a cake. Initially, you probably had no idea what you were doing, but you followed a recipe. You got the ingredients, you put in the flour, you followed the rest of the steps. Your first couple of cakes probably sucked. But the more you practiced, you got better at it. And the cake came out better. It's the same way with influencing. When you follow our step-by-step formula to influence, you will get good at it. You will know how to get buy-in from people on your ideas, whether it is a senior stakeholder, your peer, your manager, last-minute meetings, it doesn't matter. You can apply the same formula to all these situations. So let me show you an example of that. This is Althea. She is in product and she joined Ascend's leadership program because she was having real trouble collaborating with some difficult people on her team, including a dominant personality, which was her CTO, the chief technology officer, who was a key stakeholder for her. She was getting shut out of meetings. They weren't listening to what she was saying. Her reputation was getting hurt and she wasn't getting the promotion that she knew she deserved and should be qualified for. So she joined the program to help develop the tools to get her out of this. She used the program tools to position her ideas in a way that actually got the interest of the CTO. She used the program tools to practice giving feedback to the CTO about their interactions. And then she actually went and delivered the feedback and it landed so well that it transformed their relationship. Now he comes to her proactively to seek out her input. That's the dream, right? That's what happens when you know how to influence. You can do it in any situation, even in these situations that tend to cause so much stress for us. So before I talk to you about how you can actually influence, like what are the steps you should follow, I want to first just explain why we fail to get buy-in. Because when we fail to get buy-in, we feel stressed. We're frustrated. It hurts our reputation. It slows down our career growth. You might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I'm doing all this good work, but no one is recognizing it. That's why you have to go get people bought into why your great work is impacting them, why you should be recognized for it, why you should get to move up, why you should get bigger opportunities. We fail to get buy-in for three big reasons. One, we think the right answer is obvious. I was guilty of that when I was meeting with my team to align on our product roadmap. I thought it was obvious why the feature I was recommending was the best one. I forgot that we all had different contexts and different objectives, different motivations. You have a different set of information and things you care about are different than others. So you have to break it down for them. The second reason why we fail to get buy-in is because we're up against a time crunch. We think we don't have enough time to go have that conversation. Oh, I'm up against a project deadline. I don't have time to go have that call with her. It's going to take a week to schedule. Or like this, like, yeah, we have too much going on. We just need to push this through. And the third reason is fear of dissent. We think someone is going to push back on us. So before they can say no, we just try to jam it right through. I'm just gonna put this idea in the presentation. It's okay. Like once it's in the presentation and like we're at the meeting, they can't say anything. Or let's just like put it through. I'm worried that they're gonna push back on us. So just avoid that happening. I'm just gonna put it through. Now, maybe you were successful in the short term. Most likely not. But even if you are successful in the short term, you're gonna have so many problems pretty quickly. And people aren't gonna see you as collaborative. They're not gonna trust you. They're not gonna tap you to lead larger projects. They're not gonna tap you for your opinion. That is why it's so important for you to actually develop the skills to influence, regardless of what level you're at. Whether you are an individual contributor working on a team or a people manager, it doesn't matter. We have to learn how to get buy-in at any level. So you can follow the Ascend framework to get buy-in. Here it's building allies, co-creating, storytelling, empathetic listening, numbers and data, so showing proof. Why is yours the best idea? It's not just because you said so. There's actually data to back it up. And demeanor, your presence. You can use this framework in any situation, up, down, or across. So whether you're trying to get buy-in from senior stakeholders, your manager, cross-functional partners, peers, reports, you can use it to drive alignment on your recommendation, on to drive alignment on what goals are you going to set for the next quarter for your team, updating people on how your project is going, even for your own personal things. You're asking for a promotion, a salary raise. You want to drive alignment about people should recognize all the great value that you're bringing to the team. Today, we're going to talk about storytelling, co-creation, and demeanor, some of the 3 biggest levers you can pull. So let's dive in. First, storytelling. Storytelling is Ascender's favorite topic in the program because they know the best leaders are great storytellers. Storytelling brings people together to inspire and motivate them. Stories create emotions for us. They create sticky memories. The best leaders are great storytellers. Even in challenging times, they're able to rally you. They're able to get you excited and be like, yeah, let's go do this. All by stories. It's not a natural skill. It's something you have to develop. You have to learn how to go do it. And so to help you do it, you have to think about there's 2 parts of it. First is a message. How do you create a narrative that resonates with your audience? And this applies whether you are doing a presentation or a comment in a meeting or a hallway conversation. Because realistically, majority of our interactions, how we build our reputation, how we get work done is ad hoc. You don't have a ton of time to prepare before. That's why it's so important to develop these foundational skills so that no matter what situation you are, you're able to articulate an idea that's easy to follow and clicks with people. In the leadership program, we spend more than a week on storytelling, and Ascenders receive the message preparation worksheet week 1 of the program. This is people's favorite tool in the program. They use it even years after completing the program. And here it really helps you think about who is my audience, what do they care about, what are their concerns, and how do I prepare for that meeting so I can avoid any unexpected surprises. Once you have your message down, then you want to think about your delivery. How are you going to frame your message in a way that really hits home? Put a yes in the chat if you are guilty of rambling too much. You tend to ramble a lot, add a lot of backstory, you need to be more concise. So put a yes in the chat if you're guilty of rambling a lot. Yes, 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 yep, yep, yep. Oh, yes. All right, so this is for you. Instead of rambling, use these 3 tips to help you be concise. First, cut the jargon and backstory. Sometimes when we're trying to impress people, especially when we're in nervous situations, we tend to use fancy words. Cut that out. Keep it simple. Make it super easy to follow. And then cut the backstory. People have really short attention spans, especially these days when there's so much other stuff going on in their lives. Think about what is my objective? What information do they need to reach the decision that I want them to? And cut everything else out, put in the appendix or just get rid of it. They can always ask you questions and then you can give them that information. Second, share a roadmap. Share an agenda up front. And then number your points as you go through it. So rational number 1, rational number 2, rational number 3. Third, use active phrases instead of passive ones. An active one is deadlines must be hit. A passive one is deadlines are missed too often. The first one is so much stronger, so much more compelling. So use active phrases to help create a more convincing argument. So storytelling in action. This is Kendall. She is a marketing manager at Box. Week 3 of the leadership program, she got dropped into a last-minute meeting that her manager could not attend, so she asked Kendall to take over. The meeting was high stakes. She had to get approval for more budget for their team with some senior stakeholders, including a dominant personality. Now, we've all been in some variation of the scenario. You've gotten dropped into a last-minute meeting. Maybe it was with senior stakeholders that you felt nervous around. Maybe it was with a difficult stakeholder who didn't really seem to respect your opinion. So you know how Kendall is feeling right now. Nervous, anxious, super stressed out. She has 1 hour to prepare for this meeting. What does she do? Well, she uses Ascend's tools to help her get ready, to help her think about how should she structure her message. What does she need to cover? To think about what are the concerns that our audience have and how can she address them? In that meeting, she was able to position her idea in a way that really piqued their interest. She was able to address everyone's questions and concerns in that meeting that gave them confidence that this is the right way to invest in and give them the resources. She got the sign off that she needed. She walked out of the meeting feeling more confident than she ever had been and more successful than she ever had been. She'd won over everybody, including that difficult stakeholder, with only having an hour to prepare. I share Kendall's story with you to highlight that when you know these skills, when they become habits for you, you will be successful in any situation, even when you don't have a lot of time to prepare. And second, it's actually a secret confidence booster. When you know you can handle yourself in situations like this, you show up better. And that in itself is so empowering. Let's talk about demeanor. You can also think about it as presence. So demeanor or executive presence is a really elusive trait. It's hard to define. You're subject to how people perceive you. It's all in the eye of the beholder. You can really boil it down to self-confidence. It's your ability to own the room, especially in stressful, high-pressure situations. How composed are you? When you're answering a lot of questions, how articulate are you? How easy are you to follow? How much confidence are you exuding? That's all presence. The good thing is that you're not born with presence. You can develop it. And we can go over specific strategies that you can use to develop it. Really, the goal for you is you want people to look at you and be like, she knows what she's talking about. That's your goal with presence. Now, put a yes in the chat if you are guilty of saying sorry for the sake of it. You are guilty of saying, sorry, I have an idea. Sorry, I have a question. Sorry, I just have something to add. Put a yes in the chat if that's you. I remember when we were going through this module in Ascend's leadership program, one of our ascenders, Tendi, commented, she's like, I say sorry all the time. Even when I bump into a coffee table, I'll apologize to the coffee table. Yes, 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 yes times 10. Try hard not to do it. Yes, but I do it. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so this is for you. Instead of apologizing, say these following phrases. Instead of saying sorry to bother you, say, do you have a minute? Why are you apologizing to your colleague who you're working with on a project? You're not asking for a favor to give them 30 minutes of their time to talk through a part of the project. You're both in this together. You need their input in order to move forward. Sorry, I messed up. I'll fix that now. Sorry, I didn't realize. Thanks for pointing that out. Sorry, I didn't understand. Maybe you didn't understand, or maybe that person didn't explain it properly. So instead of just automatically assuming you're at fault, you can just say, can you help me understand? The words that we use shape how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive others. So that's why it's really important to be mindful of how are you showing up? What words are you saying? We go through many more strategies in the program, but this is one thing you can start doing today. Now, of course, apologize if you actually made a mistake. The idea of this is when you're apologizing for the sake of it. It's your default. I know people who's telling me that they apologize 10 times in a meeting just because that's like their reflex reaction. That's what we want to avoid doing. You want to show up stronger. For example, one of our ascenders, Natalie, she's an engineer at Salesforce. When we went through this, she realized, oh, you know what? I actually say sorry a lot. And so she used the program tools to get rid of it. She said, okay, instead of saying sorry, I'm going to say these following phrases. Within a couple of weeks, her manager and her team commented that Natalie was showing up a lot stronger. Her ideas seemed to be really much better. Natalie had not made any changes besides stop saying sorry. So a seemingly simple change can have a really powerful impact on how you show up, how people perceive you, how much they listen to you. And then co-creation. Co-creation is about getting people invested in your ideas. It's about bringing them along your thought process. That's something that doesn't come natural to us. We're often so focused on like, what do I need to get done? To be great at co-creation, you need to be genuinely interested in collaborating with people. That means that you invite real debate, real discussion, real buy-in. For example, co-creation is not sending your colleague a deck for review at 4 p.m. for a meeting that starts at 9 a.m. the next day. That's not co-creation, that's checking the box. You also need to recognize that you're not rewarded for coming up with the best idea. You're rewarded for executing the best idea. People are not going to remember that Courtney came up with this idea. People are going to remember that Courtney led her team or was on the team that executed this idea that helped hit the team's goals, that helped improve the customer experience, that helped achieve more revenue, that helped improve the process or cut costs. That's what people are going to remember you for. And you work with smart people, so leverage that. Work with them to figure out what is the best outcome. In that example I shared with you in the beginning, where I had a blow up around the product recommendation I was pushing forward, a big reason was because I hadn't taken account other people's input. I was so focused on what I thought was right. And when I did incorporate other people's input, when we collaborated, when we came up with a joint solution, it was 10x better than what I could have come up with my own. So leverage that. There's two great benefits to it. One, you have a better idea, you're gonna be more successful. Two, it improves your reputation. People aren't going to throw you under the bus if they feel bought in, if they feel invested in it. A nice way to check that is if someone came up to your team, to the people that you're working with, and asked, why are you working on this project? How's it going? Is everyone going to have the same answer? Or are they going to be like, yeah, because I was told to? That's not a good outcome. That's not successful. You want to make sure people are invested in, like, why are we working on this and what's the right path forward? And they're aligned on that. You can co-create in any situation. Whether you are trying to get alignment on your recommendation, you're trying to figure out what the goals for the team are around getting support for how a project is going. Even on small things, you caught a bug, you're trying to get a 5-minute help to fix it. You can co-create on that. Even for your own personal career growth, you can co-create to get people aligned on, like, all the great work that you're driving. They recognize that. They recognize the value that you're bringing to the table. And that will help you get promoted. That will help you get a salary raise. That will help you get more growth opportunities. All of this is really important because if you don't do this, people are busy. They're not going to connect the dots themselves. You have to break it down for them through influencing, through co-creating. Put a yes in the chat if you've had to co-create with dominant personalities. This is an especially hard case. So these are people who don't respect our opinion. We find them really intimidating. I know I definitely had my fair share. When I work with them, it's like my chest tightens. It's stressful. It's so frustrating. I just want to, like, shake my head. I'm like, oh, all the time. Had one today. Oh, sorry to hear that, Tara. All the time, often, yes, yes, yes. Same here, just yesterday. Ugh, 100%. All right, okay, so many of us. So some strategies to help you co-create with dominant personalities. First, win their respect. If you can't win their respect, then nothing else matters. So think about, what do they care about? What are their concerns going to be? And remember, first impressions matter. So you want to go into that meeting, really position your ideas about positioning them about how they care. It's not about what's interesting to you. It's not about how you win. It's about how they win. Use numbers and data to help drive that forward. Because again, it's not about what your opinion is. You're like, here's the proof that backs it up. A great way to win respect is by leveraging allies. Social proof is powerful. So leverage that. So for example, having your manager chime in for you, sharing, Kinjal is a point person on our team. She's a decision maker. We should look to her to make sure we're able to drive these decisions. Erin has had experience in this. So as we problem solve this, let's make sure we get her expertise. Let's make sure we get her input. If you're going into a meeting and you know that you're going to a meeting with a dominant personality who tends to cut you out, doesn't really listen to what you say, doesn't give you the floor, then tap a trusted colleague in advance. Be like, hey, I know we're gonna talk about X. I have a few ideas I want to share. Do you mind if I don't get a chance to share? Do you mind just creating space for me in the meeting? People are happy to help. They often just don't think about it. They don't notice it. And so then when you get into the meeting, then if you're not having a chance to talk, then they can say, like, Sarah, I know you've had to do some work on this before. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So now they've created an opening for you. And now the dominant person is thinking, like, oh, well, okay, if this person thinks that Sarah's input is valuable, then maybe I should too. And the third is, don't take things personally. Often when someone is shutting you down, it's not about you. Maybe they have something stressful at work going on. Maybe they're under pressure. Maybe they have something going on at home. Maybe they don't even realize how they're making you feel. Now, this doesn't make it okay, but knowing that it's not about you can be empowering in itself. So I want to share with you an example of co-creation in action. So like, what does it actually look like to apply these skills to help you get buy-in at work? And with that, Brittany who's one of our alumni mentors and alum of the program, she completed the program last year from Pandora. She wanted to come with you and share about, how she's been able to apply these tactics at work and what results has it given her. Brittany, thanks for joining. Take it away.
Thank you, Shivani. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. Before I get into my example of co-creation and getting buy-in, I want to kind of briefly share what led me to the program. I had led a meeting that went completely off the rails. The stakeholders that were impacted by the change that I was implementing were not bought in. They were really upset, and it really took a hit my confidence and really impacted how I felt about myself as a leader. And I had joined one of the talks just like we're on right now that Shivani was leading, and she talked about the Ascend Leadership Program. And I thought to myself, why not? Why not join and see what happens? And as I went through the program, that meeting that went off the rails and made me feel really horrible about myself, I realized what I was missing and why that meeting went so poorly. And it was because I didn't have the buy-in of the key stakeholders that I needed to get behind my change. I was lacking the why we were making the change, why it was important, and really how it benefited them in the future. And so moving forward, I take those thoughts into consideration when I'm trying to implement any organizational change, any small change, because that really has helped me since then bring change with the opportunity presented by senior leadership, and has really improved my relationships with cross-functional partners. And I've really found myself just really excited to continue to join and be more part of the Ascend program in the future. So I'm currently an alum mentor, so hope to see all of you in the next cohort. But I've gained so much from the program, and really this workshop in general, getting buy-in has been just so key in really helping me evolve as a leader. Thank you, Shivani.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope all of you now have like a great example of like, what does it actually look like to apply co-creation at work? And, Brittany joined us, she was sharing when she had meetings going downhill, really struggling with them, and how quickly you can apply these tools to turn things around. Because I know in the moment it can feel like, oh, there's nothing I can do, or it's so complicated, but it actually doesn't have to be like that. And so as you apply these frameworks, you're going to be able to gain that respect, be able to see yourself as a valued leader, and be able to really drive, like be recognized and get that like additional growth opportunities. So, today, as we've gone through to kind of wrap up, like the key takeaways we talked about is around storytelling, co-creation, and demeanor. We cover this framework, all of these 6 things in much more detail in the program, but today you have a couple strategies that you can start implementing. And in Ascend, we're all about action. So I want you to take a moment and just think about a situation that you had at work where you wanted to share an idea in a meeting. So either you held back from sharing your idea because you were nervous about being wrong, or you shared your idea, but people weren't listening to you. They weren't trying to understand what you're trying to say, which was really frustrating for you. So think about a situation. Now, take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you need to improve on to influence stakeholders? What's one thing you could do in that meeting in the future to help you show up better in that moment, to help you get the attention of people, to help you get the support that you need from everybody? And so you can use some of these tactics. Maybe for you it's storytelling. Maybe for you it's co-creation. I need to get people invested in my ideas. Maybe it's demeanor, it's presence. So throw that in the chat. Throw that in the chat for like, what's one thing you can do, you need to improve on to influence stakeholders, to help you avoid having that in the meeting where either you're not speaking up or you are speaking up, people aren't listening to you. What's one thing you can do to help you influence, get that support? So throw that in the chat. I'm gonna play some music while you do that to provide some background music, and throw in the chat. Speak up more, empathy. improve co-creation, be precise and succinct, positive body language, storytelling, co-creation. Yep. Understand their goals, presence, co-creation, storytelling. Yeah, these are really, really great. It's about 10 more seconds and we'll come back together. So throw in the chat, what's one goal that you need to improve on? What is one area that you need to improve on to get buy-in, to be able to get people to listen to your ideas? Yes, I love all these. So, in a sense, we're all about action and accountability. So now that you've identified what you need to improve on, like storytelling, co-creation, figure out what does that actually mean to you? What are the actions that you actually need to take to be better at that? And then how are you going to hold yourself accountable? I highly recommend getting together with a group of women who are in similar shoes as you, ideally from different companies, because then you get one, diverse set of perspectives, and two, it becomes a safer place to share. You don't have to worry about like offending anyone or hurting your reputation at work or anything getting back to that manager or colleague that you're having a difficult time with, because these people don't even know who you work with. In a sense, we handpick every member and curate small groups of high caliber, low ego women who understand your challenges because they're going through the same thing. And our members love it. It has been such a growth tool for them. So if you want to go do this on your own, that's awesome, go for it. If you're like, I'm busy, I want someone to just do this for me, then I'd love to come work with you in a Sense Leadership Program. It is a 6-week online program for women where you'll develop the skills to help you overcome imposter syndrome, to advocate for yourself, to position your ideas in a way that gets people excited to implement them, to rally stakeholders, to have your ideas taken seriously, to be seen as a valued partner, to push back against difficult stakeholders, to have these difficult feedback conversations. Basically everything that keeps us up at night, but we never talk about at work. We've had women from all these companies and many more come through the program and achieve the results that I've shared today around advocating for themselves, getting promoted faster, being able to get buy-in from stakeholders, even difficult ones, even in last-minute situations. And so really this is for you, if you're someone where you want to get a yes on your ideas. Think about it this way, you're driving down the road and you hit green light after green light after green light. It feels so good. If you want to get that feeling every time you speak up, every time you have an idea, every time you make a recommendation, you make a comment in a meeting, people are like, yeah, I want to hear what you have to say. They're excited to implement your ideas. They're excited to seek out what you have to say. Then this program is for you. If you want to understand how to be an expert at influencing, how to have your ideas taken seriously at all levels, difficult stakeholders, your reports, your peers, cross-functional partners, senior leaders. If you want to conquer imposter syndrome and gain the confidence to show up stronger, to gain the confidence to show up as you know you are worth, as you know you get the respect that you know you deserve, you're capable of. To speak up as an introvert, even in last-minute meetings, even when you're in meetings where you don't have all the expertise, you don't have all the answers, or you might be the most junior person in the room. How do you speak up in a way that gets people's attention, that people understand, and you feel comfortable doing so? It doesn't feel stressful anymore. And you're ready to move up faster in your career. You're ready to crush it in your current role and get promoted to the next level soon. Then I'd love for you to come join us. What makes the program really unique is 3 key things. The first is a focus on learn by doing. Everything we will do in the program will have a clear step-by-step playbook of what to do, including how do you handle situations that don't go well, as they often go off the rails. You'll have step-by-step playbooks, video lessons, group discussions, small group discussions, exercises that you apply directly to your work. Our centers describe it as, it's like someone is holding your hand when I'm having that difficult conversation at work. Others talk about it, it's like Ascend is an emergency toolkit. No matter what situation I'm facing at work, I know there's gonna be an Ascend framework that I can pull from to help me resolve that, which is so comforting and time-saving. In fact, many of our centers say that they save time after going through the program, up to 6 to 8 hours per week, because they just use a framework to help them figure out what to go do instead of thinking from scratch, and they're much more effective. The second thing is our community. You're going to be in a safe space with women like you, a group of high caliber, low ego women who are driven to move up in their careers. It is empowering for our members to realize, oh, wow, I'm not alone. A bunch of other smart, qualified women face the exact same challenges as I do. And this group accelerates your learning. Think about it this way. Remember when you're back in school, you're sitting in the classroom, and your teacher shares an idea, and you're like, yeah, I get it. But then someone else asks a question, you're like, oh yeah, wait, I have a question too. That happens all the time in our program. So not only do you get support on your own challenges at work, but you get to learn from others. What are the other questions they have? What are the challenges that they're facing that you might face one day? So when you face that challenge in the future, you already know how to tackle it. And the learning continues, and the opportunity to make friends for life continues. People meet up with their program, with their circles, with their groups, even months, years after they finish the program. They create lifelong friends. And you'll be part of our alumni community after you finish, so you can continue to get support on your challenges, make friends, and be able to ask any questions that you could have, even after the 6-week program is finished. The third thing is the accountability. Let's be real, for most of us, we have the best of intentions when we want to develop a new habit, but then day-to-day just gets in the way. So we designed the program to help make sure you do get the support that you need, to help make sure you do achieve your goals through things like the exercises, accountability buddies. We have a bonus accountability session after the program finishes to make sure that you have an opportunity to come back and ask your questions. We check back in your progress and see how you're doing and where are you off track and how do you need to get back on track? Because this is an investment in you, and we want to make sure you do achieve your goals. So if this is all resonating with you, and you're like, I want to spend a few weeks really developing the skills to be able to get buy-in at work, to be able to become the leader I know I want to be able to get promoted, to be able to influence in any situation and build habits around it. And I want to do it while I get to learn and make friends with an awesome group of women, then I'd like for you to come join us in our upcoming program. The dates are February 28th to April 7th. I'm so excited to get started. The program already has a bunch of enrollment because a lot of people missed out in the last cohort, which sold out. And just the energy coming in, we have women from Salesforce, Twilio, DoorDash, and a bunch of other companies, HelloFresh. And everyone's so excited to get started. I think it's gonna be your best program yet. So if you want to be able to have a seat at the table, to be part of the important decision-making process instead of hearing about it afterwards, if you're ready to get promoted faster, you want to kick off this year to a strong start, you want to invest in yourself, then come join us. The program tuition is $3,500. If you want any tips on to potentially ask your company for sponsorship, just email us. I'll drop the email in the chat, hello@weascend.co. You can just email us if you have questions. Many people do pay out of pocket too. They view this as an investment in themselves. So figure out what's the right fit for you. But if you have a professional development budget, if you want to ask for sponsorship, we can help you with some templates and tips on how to go do that. With that, I want to invite Karina, who's one of our other alums and who has been part of the program for a very long time. She joined it, I think, in 2020, and now has been coming back as an alumni mentor. I think it's like your 5th or 6th cohort that you're coming back for. So Karina's a great example of sharing like what she got out of the program, why she joined, and what you can expect to get out of the program too.
Cool. Thank you, Shivani.
Then we'll dive into Q&A right after that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Hi, everyone. My name is Karina, and I am an engineering manager at Pinterest. I went through the Ascend program at a pretty pivotal moment in my career, and I continue to come back as an alum mentor, and I feel like I keep relearning all of the program material, and it's helping me throughout since the time that I actually came out of the program. What I wanted to kind of share is why I did the program in the first place. I was struggling with a lot of imposter syndrome, and it was really affecting how I showed up on a daily basis. I was lacking confidence. I was constantly like my worst critic. I was beating myself down, feeling like I didn't belong in the rooms that I was in, whether it was myself, a woman with 10 other senior male engineers. I constantly kept thinking like, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know why I'm in this room. I don't know why I deserve this role or this title. And the most interesting thing for my career progress is I had received some promotions along the way. And I'm not saying this to brag, just kind of to contextualize the severity of my imposter syndrome. I started as an engineer on a team. I was promoted to a senior engineer. I then transitioned into management and I moved into senior management. And you would think that with all of these role changes, I would start to feel more confident, right? Because these are really great signals that a person might be doing well in their career. Despite that, I still had a very, very pretty low self-esteem and I had a lot of lack of confidence. So the imposter syndrome is really a big thing that I wanted to tackle. And I think it was the main points of Ascend that really sort of drew me towards the program. So I attended the program and there's a module that's specifically dedicated towards imposter syndrome, which I found to be extremely helpful because we don't talk about these things often enough. I think a lot of us feel this sense of I'm an imposter, but we don't really talk about it. Shivani asked us to do an exercise where she said, list down 4 or 5 strengths. Like, what do you bring to the table? What do you do really well? And she basically forces everyone to do that, even if it's an uncomfortable exercise. And that really taught me that I need to do a lot more self-reflection and try to understand what am I bringing to the table? What experience have I had in the past that's really going to help me overcome this challenge? And in doing that reflection on a monthly or weekly basis, it's kind of helped me curb my imposter syndrome. I wouldn't say that it's disappeared completely, which I think is fairly natural, but it definitely helps me overcome it and helps me feel more confident when I think about what my strengths are. I think one more thing that I'll just add before I wrap up is the importance of preparation. That's another big thing that I got out of the program is preparing can further help increase your confidence because you don't walk into a room wondering what you should say or wondering what the topic is. You walk in with, I understand this topic, I have my own viewpoints, I prepared in advance, and it really changes how you show up in that room. So these are just a couple of things that I got out of the program. It really, really is life-changing. I tell my friends that all the time and they think I'm joking, but I'm not. It's extremely life-changing. I've never invested in myself in this way in like a professional development program, but this was just fantastic and I highly recommend it to you all.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Karina. Karina is such a great role model around, what you can expect to get out of Ascend and what you can drive out of it. And really, she really upholds so much of the Ascend values around lifting each other up, really pushing yourself to achieve what what you're capable of. So yeah, she's going to be coming back for the next cohort. So you might be in her circle or Brittany's circle, which I think both are just, everyone's just so amazing. And now she's an engineering manager at Pinterest and it's been so rewarding to watch her grow. So with that, let's dive into Q&A. So throw any questions that you have in the bottom right Q&A icon that's on your screen, and we can dive into any questions. So I see a question in here around any tips to find allies and get them on your side prior to a significant meeting. It's a great question. I think making sure you line things up before you go into a meeting are really important. And so here it's really around making sure, first think about who are the key decision makers that you need support for. And then think about like, okay, I need to get them on board, but maybe you can't go to them directly. So maybe it's a senior stakeholder that you don't actually have a lot of visibility to. Maybe they're the leader, an executive on another team. So you don't have a lot of contact with them. So maybe if it's hard for you to get FaceTime with them or to get buy-in from them, then you would be able to go into and be able to then suggest go talk to someone who's on their team, who's more closer to your level, get their support, and then channel it way up. So really think about like who are the decision makers that you need to get sign off before you go into that meeting. For example, one time when I was leading monetization, I need to get approval on like a big decision that we were pushing forward. So I had to meet with our head of finance, our head of sales, our product person, product leader, and I had a meeting set up with all of us to get alignment. And actually before coming into that meeting, I set up one-on-ones with each one of them to address their concerns, to get them on board. So when we got into that meeting, everybody was already on board. And that's what you want to think about, like who are the people who you need to get on board before that meeting, go figure that out. And if it's not that, if you can't get that direct decision maker, then who can you go, who they listen to around it. So thinking about like the sphere of influence and how do you work your way out to get that right person on board. And we dig into it a lot in the program, but these are some things you can start thinking about, like how you can drive that alignment. I see a couple questions around the program. many senders are, so can someone from consulting come? A lot of people seem to be from tech, 100%. We've had people from Accenture, KPMG, BCG, a lot of other top consulting firms. And so we have a lot of people from tech, and we also have a lot of people from non-tech. It's, finance, CPG, consulting, really just like a broad spectrum. And so really what brings people together is, what draws people to the program is, they want to learn how to influence. They want to develop the skills to be able to get people to support their ideas, to be able to get buy-in. They want to learn how to develop these key leadership skills, and they want to gain confidence. So if you are someone who's like, I want to move up in my career, I'm committed to doing that, and I want to develop one or all three of these things, that's what draws to the program. And actually what they find, it doesn't matter what industry they're in, because the foundations of how to influence, the foundations of how to lead are the same regardless of what sector you work in. And that being said, we do have people from all different industries, and we'll curate groups for you where you get to meet people from new industries, but also people from your industry, and get to meet women from all over the world. So you get that diverse set of perspectives and get to enjoy the energy of that while still getting those intimate conversations. Can you elaborate on how to share a roadmap? Sure. So about sharing a roadmap is, and this goes back to when I was talking about being concise. And part of being concise is like, make it really clear to people for what you're going to share with them. So here around it is, sharing your roadmap means that think in advance, basically one, share the agenda. So when you come into the meeting, ideally you even put in the meeting invite beforehand, like here's the agenda, what we're going to cover. So, what are you going to cover? What is the objective of it? So everyone is really clear. That will not only help everyone else set the right expectations about what they should expect to get out of the meeting, but when you have an agenda, you're also going to be much more structured in how you present your ideas. You're going to be much more concise and much more linear in your thought. And then second is numbering your points. So when you number your points like 1, 2, and 3, it makes it really easy for people to follow you. They can be like, oh wait, what was that second point you shared? Instead, if you're just saying like, here's my idea, my next idea, my next idea, it makes it hard for people to follow. So a lot of, communicating is having the right idea, but it's so much of it is about how you present it, how you approach it. And it's very strategic. And part of one of the things you can do to present it in a strategic manner is providing a really clear roadmap that's easy for people to follow. How do you start a co-creation session if my manager did not ask me to save time for it? So around co-creating is not necessarily a one-time event. You're co-creating all the time. And so it's around co-creating. It's about, for example, if you're a manager with your team, looping them in and be like, hey, I have this idea. Like, here's this problem that I think is really important for us to solve, or here's this opportunity that I think is really important for us to solve. Does that mean you set up a meeting? You can be creative. Maybe it's in Slack, maybe it's a document, maybe it's spending part of your time in a meeting. Maybe it is a meeting, but and the thing is, when people, often I hear around this, yeah, but I don't want to create additional work for people, or people will push back on me if I create additional work. But the thing to remember is you want people to support your idea because it benefits them, because it benefits the company. You're not pushing your agenda because you want to. And that's what you need to get people to see. How is it going to help them win? How is it going to help the company win? So in the program, we break down specific strategies on how to go do that. And I would say here to your question, reframe that. It's not about adding more time to people's calendar. It's about spending the time to explain to them, here's why we should focus on this, because it just help all of us move forward. I see a question here, can you talk about, for the program experiences, essential, premium, and platinum experience in the program? Sure. So we recognize that everybody has different needs and different interests. So we've really offered these 3 program experiences, essential, premium, and platinum, so you can figure out what is best to fit your needs. So in the essential experience, it is, you get access to 6 weeks of program curriculum, the case studies, the video lessons, exercises, situational worksheets and frameworks that help you put theory into practice, and you attend 1 live group discussion per week with the entire cohort during it, where we'll go into breakout sessions, we'll have case studies, we'll have Q&A as a group. And then you'll have access to our private network of ascenders during the program. So this is really for you if you're someone who has limited time, but you're like, I really still want to do the learning. So for example, if you found this program, this workshop beneficial, and you're like, I really want to dive into it, but I don't necessarily have a lot of time to commit to it, but I still really want to make sure, I am stressed, I'm struggling in my career. I want to make, or even if you're not struggling, but I want to make sure I get promoted by the end of the year, or I want to make sure I get promoted by 6 months, or I have this problem at work I want to really tackle, then this could be a really good fit for you. Or if you're someone, I don't really want to do a lot of small group discussions, then the essential is a great fit. The premium is where you get everything in essential, but you also have the weekly circles. So those are facilitated by our alumni mentors in the premium. So for example, Karina and Brittany, who you just met. And these are actually members' favorite parts of the program. And so our circle premium would be the most popular. And there it's not, the circles offer you an intimate conversation with a curated small group of women. So meet with the same group every single week, in addition to the live group discussion with the cohort. And it's a really nice way for you to get deep support in your challenges and to make friends. People often choose to meet their circles even after the program finishes because they love it so much. They're like, I don't get an opportunity to like have this kind of relationships and support anywhere else. You'll also have access to our alumni community afterwards, so the learning keeps continuing. You'll have role plays during the session. So really this is for you if you are someone who really values the intimate conversations, you really want to dedicate your growth, you want to have an opportunity to expand your network and build more relationships and have more opportunities to practice these skills in a safe space within the program before you actually apply them in real life. And then you want that continued support after the program. So you want to continue to be part of our alumni network. You want to be able to have a space to ask questions and come back to be able to get the support on your challenges while you get to make new friends. And then our platinum one is everything in essential on top, and it's similar. It's in pretty much everything in premium, except the difference is your circle group. So that one-time weekly session that you have with a small group of women is led by me. So I will be your, I will lead your circle. So this is really for you if you want to have hands-on coaching by me in a small group setting while you get the support of an elite group of your peers and also get the full benefits of all of everything else in the program. So really, you know, regardless of which experience you pick, this is going to help, the program's going to help you grow. You're going to have an opportunity to push yourself out of your comfort zone and really develop specific practical skills that help you show up better at work, that will help you achieve your goals and help you move up faster in your career. So if you have more questions, you can email us at hello@weascend.co. We've dropped the link in the chat. So if you are interested in applying now, as I said, since you joined live, we're going to make an exception for you and you can apply now and just mention that you attended the workshop live. Otherwise, enrollment is not officially open yet, and we'll send you more details on that. So if you're interested, if you're like, I just want to, I'm ready for a change and I want to learn these skills, then I would love for you to come join us. The energy is so good. It's a group of badass women who are committed to making a change, which is so amazing. So then, what are the other questions? So one last question I will answer is around any tips to build relationships and influence in remote work scenarios. Yes. So, you know, so much of what we talk about in like in the program also is like, will help you develop skills in remote work. And I would say the one thing in remote work is you have to put extra effort in to getting to know people. Because right now, you know, when you're in the office, you can see someone sitting at the desk, you have these hallway conversations, you run into someone in the lunch line. And that obviously doesn't happen anymore. So you need to be more deliberate about it, especially because right now we have so many calendars, busy calendars, you're having Zoom fatigue. So you need to think about in here, set up those coffee chats, set up those one-on-ones. I think those are the ones that get canceled pretty quickly because people feel like they're busy and have too much going on, but setting up those and having regular cadences where it's like, hey, here's what I'm working on. What are you working on? How can I support you? Going for a virtual lunch, going for a virtual walk. If it's like doing whatever is safe, invest in those. You know, one of the things you could even do is like carve out one. So I do these fireside chats with senior leaders where we can learn from. And, you know, one of the pieces of advice that we heard from one of them is they carve out Friday afternoon, they block out a couple hours and they'll just ping someone spontaneously for drinks. And it'll be like a virtual drink, like, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? And just that spontaneity adds to about the connection and allows you to get to know people. So I would say to really build relationships, like don't let these one-on-ones, these connections slip. It could even be like just get like a Slack message, like, hey, how are you doing? Or like, remember you were going on this hike this weekend. How did that go? That becomes really important because those conversations aren't naturally happening. Thank you so much for joining today's workshop. This was amazing. The chat was on fire. I loved your questions. If you have more questions, you can email us at hello@weascend.co. We will send out the recording so you can go back and rewatch this. Thank you so much. Stay well and take care and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, everyone.